Hello, J Star Wars 360 here. You'll notice that the upcoming vlog contains no mention of this episode's reputation as being one of the worst in the series. The reason for that is that, like most vlogs, I go in knowing as little as possible about the episode. As such, I had no idea that this episode was loathed by so many fans. Looking back, I can see where they're coming from. It is a little mean spirited and there are a couple contrivances. But because I didn't know that at the time, I was able to not necessarily love it, but definitely not hate it. And you're about to find out why that is. So without any further ado, let's get into the episode.
Hey everyone! Double D's middle name is Marion! Marion the librarian! Marion the Hungarian! This is Arnold betrays Iggy, and in this episode, Arnold swings by Iggy's apartment to drop something off. I think it's like he's giving him the homework or something, I'm trying to remember. And when he goes into the apartment, he sees that Iggy is wearing pajamas with feet. And if you don't know what those are, it's like what Ralphie wears in A Christmas Story. And Iggy's a little embarrassed, and he makes Arnold swear not to tell anyone. But unfortunately, Stinky and Gerald are able to get it out of Arnold. And naturally, Iggy is humiliated, and Arnold wants to make it up to him. The problem is that Iggy's not easy to forgive. So there's like this long stretch of time where Arnold's just asking Iggy, just please forgive me, I'll do anything. And, he'll do all this stuff, and Iggy still won't forgive him. And finally, Iggy's like, listen, if you really want to make it up to me, you'll wear feet pajamas in public. Then we'll be even. So Arnold, wanting Iggy's forgiveness, goes outside in feet pajamas. But right before he does, Iggy learns that Arnold technically didn't betray him. It was Stinky and Gerald who kind of got it out of him, and they're really the ones to blame. And upon learning this, Iggy feels really, really bad. So he tries to stop Arnold and call it off, but he's not able to get to him in time, and Arnold gets humiliated in front of everyone. And Iggy feels really bad for what he did and asks Arnold what he can do to make it up to him. And it's this cute little role reversal at the end. So overall, I thought this was an enjoyable episode. It's one of the better spotlight a side character episodes. It's kind of cool. It's like, as far as I know, Iggy has yet to receive a line. So it was nice to see an episode that spotlighted him. I really love the theme of this, hurting a friend and trying to earn their forgiveness, because it's really easy to hurt people's feelings and really hard to forgive them. And especially when it comes from a friend or someone you trust. And it's like a really rough situation if you've ever been in it. You genuinely feel bad, and you don't want to see them hurt, and you want to do something to make them feel better, but it's not like you can just say, I'm sorry, and they'll forgive. It takes time and effort. I like how this episode doesn't pull any punches in this. There's a major time lapse here that shows, Iggy didn't forgive Arnold easily. It wasn't just a day thing. It took ages before Iggy forgave him. Because it would have felt cheap if it had happened very quickly. And I like how there's fault on both sides. As much as Arnold's doing the right thing, trying to get Iggy to forgive him, there is something on Iggy's side of how he is holding a grudge a little long. But like any good writing, you understand both sides. You understand why Iggy's so hurt. You understand why he doesn't want to forgive Arnold. Even though he should forgive Arnold, he's really hurt bad, so he's not going to forgive him as easily as he should, because, again, he feels betrayed, he feels hurt, he's being bullied and teased and made fun of because of something Arnold said. Again, my only real gripe with this episode is that it just all felt a little too convenient as far as how it got resolved. The only reason Iggy forgave Arnold is not because he realized, you know what, some grudges just aren't worth having, it's just not worth it. He only forgives Arnold because he happens to overhear something, he's in the right place at the right time. And it just felt a little too convenient, and I would have liked it if he had just sort of realized on his own, maybe I should forgive Arnold, maybe I am too harsh, something introspective. Not only was this a great episode for Iggy as far as just giving him an episode, but it also worked well for Arnold, because Arnold's had some pretty good moral high ground here, because the episode's called Arnold Betrays Iggy, and I was very worried that Arnold was gonna blab or something, and If he had done that, it would have felt very out of character for him. So I'm glad that it was coerced out, although when Arnold's like giggling about Iggy's pajamas, like I feel like he could have lied and said like, oh, never mind, Stinky, or I remember this really funny joke, or Iggy said something really funny. But I guess, I don't know, maybe that's the pitfall to Arnold, is that he's a little honest. And I love just how Arnold's willing to go the distance as far as forgiving Iggy. Like, he apologizes to him, he gets him gifts, and he offers to do anything and everything. And again, it just shows how great of a character he is. The idea that people don't forgive easily and it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience, I think that's a really true lesson, and again, I'm really glad the show delved into it. To some extent, it kind of reminded me of the Bible. Basically, there's two brothers, Jacob and Esau. Esau is supposed to get a birthright, but Jacob takes it from him, and then Jacob runs away to give Esau, basically lives out in a different place, like, I'll just stay here, lay low, and then after some time has passed, and Esau's cooled down, I'll come back, and years later, when he sees Esau's not mad at Jacob, he's just overjoyed to see him, and they hug and cry, and it's clear he's forgiven him. And again, I'm kind of just abridging here, there's a lot more going on, but you see my point. This sort of thing takes time. You can't just say I'm sorry and expect them to forgive, and I like how the show really showed that, because again, it's like, it's a really honest and harsh life lesson, but one that I'm glad the show brought out. So that's all I have to say as far as just overall thoughts. Now I'm just getting into the little stuff, like the fact that this episode takes place over a long stretch of time, like I think months or weeks pass, and it makes me wonder, like timeline-wise, like when does this line up with the other episodes? Because we had another episode where there was a time lapse with the Krabby Offer, and it's like can someone map all these episodes out in chronologically when they happen? And is there like a long stretch of time in Hey Arnold when Iggy's just still mad at Arnold? Like, I'm probably reading too much into it. These episodes are meant to stand on their own, and again, continuity wasn't as big as it was now. I mean, not to say there isn't continuity, like we do see reoccurring characters like the older girls from the 6th grade, or the one kid who keeps getting held back, which I like. As far as pajama feet go, I've never worn them, ever. I remember I first heard the expression of it in the show, Whatever Happened to Robot Jones, if you've ever seen that. And there's like this one episode where Robot Jones's parents are coming, because it's like the parent-teacher conference day, and this one kid's like, I'm so embarrassed of my parents, they make me wear pajamas with feet. I'm like, what, does she mean like pajamas that have feet drawn on them? I had a very interesting mind growing up, but thankfully I never had to wear them. As far as miscellaneous things go, first time we've seen Iggy's house, and the first time we seen him without his glasses on, and I do love that how the show just keeps peeling back on these background characters. Like, I like how they aren't just background characters. Like, they're background characters, but the show's willing to go and dive into them. Like, these characters that were originally just sort of scenery in the background are now fleshed out characters, and I really like how the show's been doing that lately. It's really cool. And as I mentioned earlier, I also really liked how scene where Arnold goes outside in the pajama feet, like, all the background characters are characters we've seen before. I saw Stoop Kid, I saw Lorenzo, and I saw the 5th grade girls. And I'm like, I really like how the show does that. So, pretty short vlog in comparison to the others. I didn't have as much to say on this, but, you know, I've had a lot of long ones lately, so this is nice. So, again, as always, your thoughts on the episode, and did you ever wear feet pajamas growing up?